Hello guys, and welcome back to another update. My name is Kaarin, and this update will contain the start of making the levels and adding sound into the game. Let's check it out. Before this video starts, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. Thanks. First topic of the update, the music. I want to have some chill background music when you play the game, but I never made any music myself, so I had to find some free or cheap songs. I got a couple of tips for websites, looked at them all, but they were either very limited in what they could offer, or the audio in them were just too random. There's a website called freesound.org that got a ton of audio, but it was quite hard to find what I was looking for. I will come back to this site later for other types of sound, however. But then, while going through forums, I found a link to soundimage.org, and it was precisely what I was looking for. And there's a ton of music for games and other stuff. It's also free as long as you give credits to the maker of the music. Since my budget for this project is non-existent, that is a great deal. So, after spending a few hours looking around and listening to the songs, I found a couple songs that I liked and I downloaded them. I will try to use 2, maybe 3 songs per biome and some menu music as well. Songs can quickly take up a lot of space, so I will try to keep them as few as possible to save storage. The songs will be useless unless I have a way of playing them in the game, of course. So, next task was to make a class to handle all of that. I found out there's a class in Java that's called Media Player that I can use. It can handle more than just the audio, but the audio is all I need for now. So, my class just needs to handle the user inputs to play, stop, and also change the volume. To make it easier, I added constant values to represent each song in the game, so I only have to reference the ID of that song for it to be played. Next up was the sound effects. I went back to Freesound and I started to look for effects for everything. It took me days to find everything, and I still need a few more effects. I spent 2 or 3 days going through each audio to match whatever effect I searched for, and there's a lot of weird sound on this site. After I finally had enough sounds for the basic stuff, I started to create a class to handle everything. I will create a different one compared to the music player class. One thing that became obvious quickly was that there is a delay when it comes to the media player I used for background music. First, you load the player with the correct audio, prepares it, and then it plays. This is not a problem for a song in the background, but for effects that needs to be played in an instant, this became a problem right away. So I searched for a different way of playing the effects, and I found a class called Soundpool. Here I can preload all the effects in the memory and play them at an instant when I need it. I can also specify how many different effects should be able to play at the same time. Since the sound effects are much smaller in size, they won't take up much space in the memory. And just like the music files, I made constant values and just refer them to the song ID when they need to be played. Some sound effects need some variance every time it plays, such as running. You would be very annoyed if the sound for steps were the same every time you move. So it picks a random number every time it needs to play that effect. There's currently just 2 effects that needs a random number for each play, and it's running and attacking with the axe. Once I got the basic of sound and music working, I moved on to start building the first level of the game. I removed all other levels that I've been working on previously for testing. And while adding things to the new level, I started to find out a lot of stuff was never fully added or completed. Everything from restarting the enemies when the player replays or restarts the level, to making sure that the door can be opened with the key. I will keep solving bugs and other stuff that ain't 100% completed yet throughout building the level. I also had to change how the levels themselves were saved and how to save the current progress of the game. Before I had a file for each level, and it was intended to keep track of score, time and other values. But since I changed the direction of the game and went for a story-based play rather than a replay the levels to get a higher score, I had to change that. It is much easier and simpler now compared to how it was before. Now there's only one file that saves the last completed level and unlocks the next one in order. One thing that I can work on now with the music being added was the settings menu. It won't be any large amount of settings to change, just the music and also the transparency for the user interface buttons while playing the game. The values goes from 0 to 100 and it saves to a file to make sure the values are the same next time you start the game. There was also several other things added or changed that didn't take too long to do. The fireball spitter can now shoot in both directions. I just flipped the image in the object atlas and added it into the game. I also had to spend some time reworking the door and key function. There will only be one door per level and I will keep it one key as well to make it simple. I added so that the particles will continue to spawn when the player moves and the camera follows. Before they were locked to the screen no matter where the player was running or where he is. That looked bad before and now it looks very nice. I also made sure that the spikes works as intended. Before they were just there for looks, but now if you fall down into them or touch them, you die. One thing I will be doing soon is to let other people try the game and give feedback. I have a couple of friends that wants to try it out before the release on Google Play. This will be very useful and the feedback will really help. But there is some bugs that I still need to figure out. Some of them I will be able to fix quicker than others. I also need to improve the enemies. Some of them are quite dumb and slow. Some enemies I would like to change how they work as well. Nothing major, just to make sure that they behave differently. That's it for this update, folks. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like button if you liked the update and also subscribe if you wish to see more of these updates. It really helps out the channel. Until next time, take care and have a great day. Bye.